Yo, welcome back to another episode of Timmymon Duelings. In this video, we're gonna do another versus series between heroes and Amazons. But before we get into this video, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, YGOsingles.com. If you play the TCG, make sure you check them out. They've got good prices on all of the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG cards. And if you use the discount code Timmymon, you get 5% off all of your purchases, and it really does help me to continue to bring more videos. So I wanted to do this video for a while now. I've been caught with a cold, so I couldn't bring this to you, but I felt heroes have been super underrepresented recently, and I don't really understand why. I think it's still a powerful deck. People say Amazons speed it. I think Amazons have a favorable matchup, but it's by no means an auto lose. And Heroes was really good last KC Cup, and I think it will also be good this time around because it's just such a fast deck. The list that I use here, this is a very generic list, and I don't even know if this is the best list. This is just the list that I use for the video, but another list that I would like to try is something like this. Let me just build it real quick. I want to take out the poly and the melees. I don't know why, I just always seem to draw them. I want to play 3 econs, and I want to play just heroes. This hero, maybe something like this, or even take out econ and do another Gyoku or something maybe like this instead. Anyway, I wanted to play with more heroes and not having to rely on Vion and Melee, because these guys, they're too small and they're easy to, yeah, they don't really do much. But I just felt like I should play Vion because it helps you get that extra monster on board. But I think probably going forward, this is probably a better way to play it. But anyway, how do I undo? That wasn't the list that I used. In fact, the list I used was this. So this is the list that I used. So why do I have such high regard for this deck? The reason I have such high regard for this deck is it's quite a flexible deck. So based on what kind of meta that you're seeing, you're able to construct your deck to suit that meta. Suppose you see a lot of Amazons, you can put in the third Cyclone. If you see a lot of Sylvans, you can put in more Chalices or even Offerings to the Doom. If you see a lot of mirror matches, you can put in more enemy controllers. So I feel like this deck is quite flexible in the way you build it, and with the skill restart, it's very natural to hard restart for the cards that you need in certain matchups. So a lot of the time people would just keep a hand like Drill Dark, Vion, and like, I don't know, some enemy controller or Chalice or something like that, like a very okay-ish playable hand. And it's not wrong to keep those kind of hands, but for me, I tend to restart more for cards for certain matchups. So in the replays that I'll show, I'll talk you through the thought process of why I restart, or what I'm hoping to restart for, and what kind of strategies I have going along. A lot of people are playing Cosmic Cyclones, but maybe the way that they're playing it is wrong. I think it's always good to hold it in your hand if you do have it, just because you're able to hit in this matchup particularly, you're able to hit the continuous trap card or whatever leftover defensive cards that they may have left. So a sort of hand that I would like to see in this deck for the Amazon matchup would be like a combination of like Drill Darks, other monsters, Mass Change, and Cosmic Cyclones. These other cards have to be in the deck just because it helps, it makes you not auto lose to other matchups, but they're also not terrible to have. Treacherous Trap Hole is good because it deals with 2 monsters, and each of their monsters remove 1 of your monsters, so this is like dealing with 2 of their resources for the price of 1. So treacherous is always good, and enemy controller can be useful to steal games. It can be useful to put monsters in the graveyard to prevent them from getting banished. So sometimes you may want to just tribute take to put the Celestial in graveyard and hit for some damage and have a chance to draw for a mass change plus monster to do just enough damage for game. And with this deck, you just have to sort of see your win conditions and what sort of line that you can do to win the match. So without further ado, let's get into the replays and I'll walk you through my thought process. So all of these replays are up against Luke from the Dueling's Meta Discord. I found him in the general chat and he was happy enough to play against me with his Amazon deck. So we're going second. With the hero deck, you like to go second just because it's an extra card. And I think that's against every deck except maybe Sylvan's. But even against Sylvan's, I probably still want to go second. And my hand is sort of like a dream hand. Our opponent has goes for the willpower. So it causes me to think that he might have two of the onslaughts already. And what I was hoping to draw would just be another monster, and fortunately enough I do draw that other monster, but unfortunately it's a malicious. So what we do here, we always keep our Cyclone in our hand just for the onslaught. So for this matchup, we always want to keep it in our hand. For against Sylvans, you tend to want to blind Cyclone more because their cards are always treacherous trap holes or enemy controllers. But this matchup, yeah, they still have enemy controllers, but the card that we want to deal with is Onslaught, and Cosmic Cyclone does not destroy it, so it doesn't get the bonus effect to special another monster. It just straight out deals with it, and we're able to just run through his monster. He willpowers, and he actually doesn't have the Onslaught, so I feel like that was a misplay to not go for the second Onslaught. He willpowers, he goes for the willpower and searches another Onslaught, and we're just trying to go for game there. The reason I chained mass change to his willpower just to play around a floodgate trapper if it was, but it was just a Candina. And here is quite awkward for him because 1200 doesn't kill Enki, so it just flips him up. And we know this is this is going to be another Onslaught, and then we also know he's got a Candina engraved. So the way we use Treacherous Trapper is we want to wait until the very end before we use it. So another useful thing is this has piercing damage. The Drill Dark has piercing damage, so a lot of the times we're just trying to do as much almost direct damage as we can. So often we might consider attacking directly with Anki and hoping that they don't have an out, and other times, yeah, we just want to do as much piercing damage or residual damage as we can. So yeah, we're able to just clear through everything. And he does have the other monster, and that's why we saved Treacherous Trapple. If we had used Treacherous Trapple sooner, then we couldn't have dealt with this queen. But because we held the Treacherous Trapple, we were able to deal with whatever monster came out. Also, the reason we want to save it is because we have to be aware that our opponent can bring out this tiger at any time. So we just want to deal with the last possible play that our opponent can make. So whoever makes the last play will win the match. So actually, even there, I didn't want to go for the Treacherous Trapple because our opponent has a trap in the grave, and it wouldn't be game. So instead, I wait for my opponent to attack me, and I know at this point his monsters are full, and he can't summon the Candina, and also the Treacherous, and also I put him on a 2-turn clock by attacking directly with Anki. So here he's desperate to he was desperate to get rid of the Anki because he can see the threat. So we were very conservative with the Treacherous Trapple. That was something that we want to hold on to the very end. And we had him on a 2-turn clock anyway. There was very few cards that he could have drawn to out that. Maybe an enemy controller would have done it. But so I'm also going to show you my losers. In this replay, we actually have a loss, and it's the hand that I had was a very decent hand, but it just shows you the lose condition of this deck. What our opponent can do to just flat out lock us out of the game. This is the reason why I hate poly. I just always seem to draw poly. And look, our hand. This is a very great hand. This is a hand that I'll consider a dream hand. We have a monster, we have mass change, we have treacherous, and we have econ. But even with this, despite how good our hand is, it's not enough for us to pull out this game. Our opponent goes for the willpower again. And actually our opponent made a misplay by summoning the tiger off of the princess. Off of this princess. If our opponent was planning to summon the queen anyway, it would have been much better for her to discard it from the hand for the effect, bring out the queen, and then our opponent would just have another tiger for free. And this is the problem. We actually have no efficient way to deal with Amazon Queen. So the only thing that we have for it is the treacherous chapel, and eventually I think I do use it. Here I use it, but our opponent has that willpower, so we have to deal with two of them, and it's just very hard for us to deal with. So yeah, our opponent could have, if our opponent did use the tiger for the effect instead of using the tiger's effect last turn, then our opponent could have soaked a free attack, dealing with another monster for free. But you know, it doesn't matter. We can't really deal with anything, and we have a outside chance to win. No, we have no chance to win. The outside chance to win I thought was maybe I draw a card and then I draw two more and we're able to do I don't know, 2-8 direct. So we still put ourselves for the highest chance to win. Maybe two mass change and a monster would have won us the game. We have Celestial Engrave, so we're always trying to think what could we possibly do to win, even if it's an outside chance. So yeah, that's a hand that I consider a god hand, but it's just so hard to deal with Amazon, the queen. So this third one is another one of us going second, and yeah, we like to go second. This hand we drew poly and melee. No way we're gonna keep that. Our objectives was to just go for the Cosmic Cyclone or the mass change. And unfortunately, we do get the mass change. And yep, always drawing that poly. It feels bad. And our opponent actually chalices the Drill Dark, which I think it's like not really necessary. All of your monsters are gonna deal with all of my monsters one by one, and our opponent probably should have used that as more of a defensive tool, maybe to use to help her queen get over an Anki or something like that. But yeah, there's not much use for Chalice against us. That's fine. We plussed off of that trade. And here, because okay, for our card doesn't generate advantage, but our opponent's card actually does search for an extra card. And if we can simplify the game state, our position, our game is much easier to win if the board is simplified. So I decided to just chalice it, and our opponent made a huge blunder and used the effect, even though the effect was negated. We're happy with that, and we ended up drawing it. We ended up drawing the Cosmic Cyclone. We go for the main phase Cyclone, and the reason I do this is I want to sort of see if there is any delay. If there's no delay, then I can put it on a different card, but there actually was a delay, so if there was no delay, I may have considered just going mass change, attacking this, and then attacking, searching and attacking directly. But because there's a delay, there's like so many cards that it could be. If there was no delay, I would have to think about it more, but because there was a delay, it was a no-brainer. I'll just attack and then mass change and then attack. And the delay was the enemy controller. And because our board is simplified, our opponent is much worse at top decking than we are. We have also our monsters are just generally bigger than their monsters. And yeah, like that. So yeah, if we can simplify the game state, our position is much better. And after playing these games, I wanted to put that third cyclone in so bad. And this replay is something that I think you guys need to pay attention to. I think this one is quite informative. So if you're a hero player, this is the ideal kind of hands that you want to draw. Not this one with double melee and poly. Yeah, because I kept drawing them, I had to restart them all the time, and I just didn't really like it. And I still drew into the poly. It's whatever. But these are the kind of hands that we're okay with. Monsters plus mass change, and this is the sort of hands that we're trying to get. Because I draw into okay, I drew Destiny Draw, and with Destiny Draw I drew into Cyclone and mass change. So excluding the poly, this is quite a good hand. Here what we're aiming to do is to force out the continuous trap. And there's no way that our opponent is not going to activate it on attack on one of their monsters. And on that attack, we're going to use the Cosmic Cyclone to hit it. Then it gives us an idea of what the other card might be, whether or not it's another Onslaught or another defensive card. And here we just figure out it's an Onslaught straight away. And this is quite bad for us. If it was an enemy controller or a Chalice or something else like that, we win. But because it was a second Onslaught, we don't lose, but our free win just isn't as free. So here we have to figure out what our win condition is. We can't just let our monster trade off for the tiger. So what our win condition here is, our opponent has one card and top decking, so the board state is pretty much simplified. And if we have 2 mass change, we can do 28 damage, and have a 2/8 monster on board. So the only top decks our opponent could have would be the Amazon 1500 attack Amazon, or the Queen, because any other monster that would attack into our Anki would source like he wouldn't have enough life points to banish it. So this is to see like what our win condition is. So I think I would always make this same play, because here our opponent has to really top deck the out. But fortunately for our opponent, he did have the Swordswoman, which was the card that he needed. I guess our opponent could have won with Econ or some other cards, but regardless, we had to see what the best win condition was for us. And yeah, I think the double mass change to the face was the best play. Yeah, so yeah, we're not too discouraged about this loss. So in that last game, we had a chance to win straight away if our opponent didn't have the second Onslaught, and we had also chances to win if our opponent didn't have the Swordswoman or an enemy controller or something like that. So we had several chances to win, and that's the kind of hand that we like to play with. In a equity game, we would win more than we would lose in that kind of situation. So I would make the same play almost all the time in the KC Cup. This hand would almost be playable, but we had just one too many monster, and we actually get a worse hand. Vion is quite good as a starter, and we get the poly. And we rarely use dangerous now. This is when our opponent doesn't open the princess. When our opponent doesn't open the princess, it's actually quite good for us. And unfortunately for us, we drew the second poly. Second melee. If it was any other card, we would just have another free monster. But we drew the second melee. It's sort of whatever. And because our opponent didn't use the onslaught on this attack, we're happy to go for this aggressive attack just to search the extra mask change. And because we still have the cyclone, on this enemy controller, we're gonna hit the other defensive card because there's no point for our opponent to use 2 defensive cards on this one. And it turns out it was another enemy controller, so that was the best play. We can mask change, attack. And so here I deliberated for a while whether or not I should use the mask change. I don't think it matters too much, but maybe the better play would be to hold it. And here I'm trying to think what outs our opponent could draw to really beat us. And the only out that I could think of would be enemy controller plus monster. Our opponent gets the swordswound and actually comes pretty close, but without the trap, it's not enough to remove one monster. And so if our opponent doesn't draw a queen, you know, our game is actually pretty even though we drew double melee that game. We're still like that game wasn't too hard. The games that we played ended out to be 50-50, but definitely could have been a lot higher for me if I did change the build to fit in the third cyclone and not to play the melees and the Vion and the poly. That's like 5 dead cards. Yeah, if I were to play this deck again, I would definitely play without those cards and play more cards like cyclone and chalice maybe, or enemy control or something like that. Yeah, so that's what I think about the matchup. I think it's a lot closer than people give it credit for, and most people have switched away from heroes and started to play Amazons, and I don't blame them. I think Amazons is slightly easier to play, but heroes is still very powerful. And heroes was actually one of the decks that topped last time's KC Cup, and there's no reason why it can't top this time's WCQ. The deck has a decent matchup against Sylvans, and it also has a pretty good matchup against spellbooks. Being able to main phase Cyclone and hit their fate is almost an auto win for you. So anyway, yeah, that's it for me for today, and I hope you guys learned something from this video. I want to do one more video before the WCQ, and before I head off to Australia for the TCG WCQ. And yeah, that's it for me for today, and we'll catch you guys again later. See ya. Peace out, guys.